We had to say goodbye to a machine, and that's something that we really don't like to do very often around here, and that's kind of part of the hoarding aspect of this. All right, welcome back to the shop, guys. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to talk about built versus bought, and you know, what might be right for you might not be right for me or the next fella. It depends a lot on your skill set, the tools you have available to you, the space you have to work in, and your budget. All of these are factors that you have to kind of keep in mind when you start your next project. Is it something that you don't want to, you're not in a hurry with, that you want to work on for a long time, and that's the part of it you like sourcing out the parts, and you like, you know, spending time out in the shop and just making it just so? Or do you want to get something quicker and ride it sooner? And these are two huge questions that you need to ask yourself right out of the gate. And you've heard the saying, bought versus built, or built versus bought. And you know, it depends on who you talk to, what they think is better. I'm going to make a case for both sides of that argument today to kind of just tell you how I feel about it. And I think a lot of it comes down to how much time you're willing to invest, whether that's waiting to find the right deal for you, or is it possibly waiting and searching out for parts to build something. And so today we're going to talk about what we have in the shop, and what we have is minis. We've been inundated by little people machines that big people want to ride, and right now these are the hot machines on the market. A lot of people are building these up, and they're doing a lot of really cool and trick things to them. But I kind of wanted to talk today about the differences between buying or building something. And so let's just kind of go over what we have here in front of us. Some of these are new to you. I haven't really made a lot of videos about small things. You're familiar with the 78 ATC 70. I think no three-wheeler collection is complete without an original kids three-wheeler. I mean, this was the first three-wheeler I ever rode on. I had a cousin that had one, and they weren't even considered dangerous. That's how old and how far back I go. They were just something you ride. And so I don't even know that it came with a warning. It was just like, go ride that. And that's it. So we did. But I started out on a little 70, and it introduced me to the Honda brand. It introduced me to ATV, or ATC as these are called. And just the wind in your hair and the smile on your face, and you just can't beat it. And you just, once you experience that as a kid, you just will always have a longing for it, whether you find it on two wheels or three wheels or four, cars, side by sides, whatever. Honda knew what they were doing, and they were getting us ingrained in being on ATVs, and I'm glad they did, because it's been a hobby of mine my entire life. I've been in the hobby, I've got out of the hobby, I've gotten back into it, but I've always had a love affair with wheels and motors. I enjoy working on things, and so building this 78, finding it in a barn, and sourcing out reproduction tires and fixing the old fenders and bringing it back up, I enjoy that as much as the next guy may enjoy riding his machine and never wants to work on it. It depends on what you want to do with your collection, with your passion. Mine is to work on things. I like turning wrenches. I like seeing the fruits of my labor. I like spending time out in the shop and then walking out and going, I fixed that, or you know, I'm about to fix that. Sometimes that's how it is. But the other side of that coin, and that's what this is we have here. I just picked this up. This is a 1983. It's the exact same machine, just a few minor changes over the years. The ATC 70 ran from 1970 to 1985, so really long run. There were a few changes throughout, but you could quickly look and go, that's a kid's machine, it's a 70cc. But as you see on this one, someone has put in a 140cc engine. So we're talking double the displacement and probably 3 times the power. This little sucker, a scoot, and these are real popular right now. This is what a lot of the big kids are doing. We're talking, you know, electric start, ignition systems. They hide a little battery underneath the back end. You know, right here we've got a little 12-volt battery. We've got aftermarket custom exhaust. These machines, you can put as much into them or as little into them as you want, but they are super fun. Ride around your property, your neighborhood, pit bike, you know, at the track or something like that. Just really fun, small enough that kids can ride them, but strong enough that a big guy like me can ride it too. This is an example of what you can find out on Marketplace used if you're willing to wait. And you know, when the right one comes along, you got to be quick at that point. But this is a project that someone else built. I bought it. I haven't done a thing to it. And the argument can be made that this person that built this, he kind of wanted to get out of the hobby. He wanted to build something else or go on and do something else. So he sold it, and he listed it for a really fair price, cheaper than I could build it. And that's kind of where I can see both sides of this coin. The gentleman that built this did a really good job. It's not cut up, it's not hacked up. Everything is built like it's supposed to be, and still had a price point cheaper than I could build that. So if you're looking for instant gratification and you want to ride tomorrow, then that's the way you want to go. You want to buy it already built. You know, I don't see where one is better than the other, because it all depends on what you want to, you know, get out of this. Do you want to build something or do you want to ride something? And that's really kind of the bigger question. Do you have the tools? Do you have the expertise? Do you have the time that you have to invest sourcing out original parts and making things fit? Do you want to do all that, or do you just want to add to your collection, or do you want to just get something to ride? So I can clearly see an argument. Here we are, I'm fighting this tank. As you see, I've got a little heavy-handed with it, and I'll own it. And I had to burn the paint off of this because I'm brazing the holes in the tank. It's a new skill for me. It's not something that I have a lot of experience with, and this is really my first attempt at brazing a tank. So what does that mean? Well, there's $500 is what that means. Because what's going to take is I'm going to braze the tank, and then I'm going to burn all the paint off of it, and then I'm going to have to paint it, and then I'm going to put graphics on it. I'm probably still going to have to line the tank with a liner on the inside because there's still rust on the inside. And all those things add up. Or I could buy a tank already done, which is where the $500 comes in. So you have to look at all of your options before you jump into any one decision. So build versus bought. It's original. It will always be, you know, it will always be original to some extent. And this will never be original. So don't get hung up on it. If you're going to make a decision to put a big motor in something, or maybe aftermarket plastics, then don't beat yourself up over an aftermarket grab bar, or maybe not the right tires, or maybe, you know, a 3D printed number plate or dash. Once a machine's not original, then just go forward and get what you want. And that's kind of how I feel about it. This, I'm trying to stay true to its original form and look, and so for that reason we went back with a pleated seat cover. We're going to keep the original plastics, and we did step up to a reproduction, an actual reproduction tire. And so that indecision, having the goal of wanting this to look original, has helped me make all those decisions. This one being custom, if you will, then I really don't have to fret over it being original. And I'll just tell you, here we are. You know, I've got the board out. I'm at $699 already on the ATC 70, and I haven't even ridden it yet. I could. I need the gas tank to be fixed. Everything else is done. Gas tank, hoses to our carburetor. Of course, we got our carburetor rebuild kit from who? That's right, Curtie at 223 Cycles. Thank you, Curtie. You can look to 223cycles.net and find carburetor rebuild kits for these. And in this situation, this had a double petcock on it here, and it was broken, so we were able to source that through Curtie, and I appreciate it, Curtie. That machine will always retain some value based on its originality. This machine, its value really comes from how many people may want something that already has a big motor in it, and that's two different positions to be in. The same could be said for the two little mini bikes. Now this was just something I kind of wanted in the collection. I think for me it's a 1983. When I was a little kid, these were very popular. I wanted one, I didn't have one. Guess what, I have one now. This to me just kind of is a time stamp. I can look at that and I instantly think of two things. I think of the Charlie Brown's cartoon where they race motocross, or I think of my childhood in the 80s growing up I would have been 10 when that came out, which would have been the perfect age for it. But nevertheless, 1983 Honda Z50R, just a cool little machine. This one already runs and drives, really doesn't need a whole lot. And I bought it that way, but it costs more when you buy them that way. It's a super cool machine. But if you do not want to find something like this and have the angst of having to maintain an older machine and possibly, you know, rebuilding things and so forth, this came out on the market about 8 years ago. And this is the Piranha, the same company that makes the big motors for the three-wheelers, Piranha 140, and they do make this in a 190 now. They make this entire mini bike, and it's a little bit bigger, as you can tell, but not much. It you know, teens and adults, you can certainly, an adult could ride this. It has all the creature comforts that you're used to. This is a hand clutch. We're talking horn, high beam and low beam headlights, tail lights, turn signals. Some areas you could probably even put this on the road. I think it's pretty cool for the amount of money that they cost. They're very reasonably priced. This cost half of what an original Z50R. Now, again, we go back to that bought versus built thing. The Z50R is always going to have value because it's old and it's classic. This doesn't have that kind of value and never will, because it won't ever probably be a classic. But it's fun today, and you can get on it today and ride it today, and it's fast. The Z50, well, you know, you may have to put some work into it, and it's never going to be that fast. But anyways, that's where we're at. That's what we're doing right now. We've got some small machines in the shop. We've got 2 more machines coming in, and we had to say goodbye to a machine, and that's something that we really don't like to do very often around here, and that's kind of part of the hoarding aspect of this. When I got into buying and selling machines, it was an opportunity to use a few skills that I'd picked up over the years as a side income for my family, and then that was great. And it, you know, the machines would come in, I'd fix them up and I'd sell them, and I really didn't keep any machine for myself. And then I started keeping one, and I would keep the better of the 2 that I had. So if I bought a new one in and it was maybe a little nicer or faster or better than the one that I had already kept, I'd sell that one and keep the new one. And that worked well for a couple of years, and then I said, well, I'll keep 2 and sell the rest, and then I'd keep 3 and I'd sell the rest. And as you can see, I ended up keeping a lot more than 3 over the years, and it's been fun because this particular hobby actually pays for itself if you treat it as such, if you treat it like a business. And I've always tried to do that, but I've gotten a little heavy inventory right now, and so I've had to let a few things go, and that's just part of it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a part of life. Kind of pare down a little bit and really get back to the roots of what I did this for. I started this to support my family as a side income. I could come home at night, I could work on machines, I could sell them on the weekends, you know, and not, you know, mess up my day job. And this was a great opportunity to use what I enjoy doing at home and also put food on the table. And so from that has built all of this. And I'm thankful to say that it's worked out so well. I've been able to start with the small machines and get into the hardtails and the 200Es and the big reds and so forth. And I've worked my way all the way up to the 250Rs and 350Xs. And this week I sold, and it's kind of hard for me to even say it, I actually sold my very first 350X, and we did a lot of work with it on the channel in the very beginning. That was kind of the test bed for me fixing things and learning how 3-wheelers were really put together. You know, axle bearings and neck bearings and rear carriers, and we did a top end on that machine. And when I brought it in, it had an issue with the Kickstarter, and we went through all of that and we fixed that entire machine, and then it set for 1 year, and then I rode it once, and it set for another year, and I rode it once. And I've come to realize that it becomes a full-time job maintaining multiple machines. And because of that, I will be parting with quite a few machines. I've got probably 6 slated that will come up for sale soon. But as you see, I'm still bringing in brand new machines, and I'm going to continue this hobby because I truly enjoy what I do. And so I appreciate y'all coming along with this journey, and know that my reasoning behind doing what I'm doing and the decisions I make, I always try to remind myself it's always about family first.
I don't have friends. I got family.
And that is what's most important to me. And so as great as these toys are, they are an opportunity to help fund and finance things for my family's future. And so that's where I kind of come from, and that's kind of why I wanted to put this together. That could be easily kind of forgotten when you see me just constantly bringing stuff in the shop and it's new and it looks like, you know, there's no end in sight. No, there is. There's a method to the madness. That's what the board is for, and is to kind of show you how I do it, why I make the decisions I make. And they're not always easy decisions. Sometimes they're tough. And this week was a tough one. It was one of those kind of like ripping a Band-Aid off. Once I decided that I was going to sell one of the kind of top tier machines, if you will, 350X, I had to do it and do it fast. And it sold within 24 hours. And I had about 15 different people in line if the person in front of them didn't buy it. So it rolled to the second guy. He wasn't going to let it go by, and so he bought it. So I hope you enjoy it. It was a great machine. I enjoyed owning it the years that I had it, and had a lot of memories with that first 350X. And so I'm going to miss it. It was a good one. So back to the minis. They're cool, guys. They don't take up a lot of space. They're small, they're light, they're not gonna weight down your truck. They're pretty handy to run around. Great pit bikes. All right, guys, so that's it. That's the show for today. Got some small projects going on. I'm gonna try to wrap these up. 2 of these are gonna be on Marketplace real quick. I'm not sure which ones. And that's always a hard choice. And right now I'm torn. So there's a limited amount of space and there's a limited amount of money, and we're trying to keep the best and sell the rest, they say.